Today in the shop, we're going to talk about masks, what you need to know to protect yourself and possibly to protect others. Stand by. Hey everybody, welcome back to RATTLECAN FAB Shop. I'm James. There's a lot of talk today in July of 2020 about masks. The information that you get kind of depends on your point of view or what you are trying to accomplish. Let's talk about masks from the point of view of protecting ourselves, and then we'll talk a little bit about masks protecting others from ourselves. So why would you want to wear a mask? If you're in the shop, your big reason for wearing a mask is called particulate matter. It's the little floaties that go through the air. Particulate matter is the little teeny tiny stuff you see lofted up in the air. If you see sunlight streaming through a window and you see the little tiny pieces floating through the air, that's particulate matter. That's the stuff that you're worried about. Not so much sawdust, not so much shavings coming off of the joiner or a planer. You're worried about the little tiny stuff. Not so much slag coming off of a weld, but the dust from grinding operations. It's the little stuff that gets into your lungs and can settle in your lungs, and your body sees that as a foreign object and will attempt to expel that. It can do that through just secretions surrounding it, and then you can cough it up and spit it out later, or it can trigger an immune response, and your body will start to attack that. Downside of that is sometimes it's not so smart, and it attacks you. So if we can prevent that from getting into your lungs and into your, I'm going to use a big word here, nasopharyngeal cavity, then we can decrease the problems that we can have from that. So in the shop, I've got a number of masks laid out here, and I'm going to talk about these from two points of view. The point of view from I am trying to protect myself, and then I'm going to talk about I'm trying to protect someone else. This is your basic, why is my camera not on? This is your basic Mark 1 Mod 1 mask. This is a disposable surgical mask, and it is very light. It's not, you don't rebreathe a lot of your own air. And part of the reason of that is it doesn't seal particularly well up around the edges. As in right here. It has a little wire in it, and you can conform that to the top bridge part here of your nose, and it makes it a little bit easier. It doesn't fog the glasses up so much. I'll give you a tip I learned in welding school. Before you have to wear a mask, if you will clean your eyeglasses with just a plain old shaving cream, you know, the white foamy stuff, not that gel junk. If you will lightly clean your glasses and then wipe them off, that puts a layer, it actually puts a layer of soap on your glasses, and it keeps your glasses from fogging up. We use it in welding hoods all the time. You rub it on the inside of there, clean it off, and then when you're in there welding for long periods of time, you have a better shot of not getting stuff fogged up and, you know, burning yourself. So this is designed to be used for just a short period of time. It's designed to be discarded. Would I want to wear this in the shop all day long? Not really. It affords minimal protection to myself, again, because I've got an area where air can get in, those little tiny floaties like we're talking about can get in there. Now we'll move up. This is a mask that Mrs. RattleCan made for me, and this is a little wider. It has a little better coverage. This has a pocket on the inside of it to where you can put, if you want to put a layer of filtering material in there, you can. I've seen people who will put like mint leaves in there or rosemary leaves because they're worried about some type of an odor. This again has a wire up in the top, and you'll notice this kind of has wings on it, and it covers way up to my ear. So if I'm breathing and I'm trying to filter stuff from the outside to keep it from getting onto the inside, particulate matter, then this works a little bit better than that. It retains a little bit more moisture, it retains a little bit more heat, but I used to be a surgical nurse. I used to wear these things for 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 hours a day, and sometimes for some very, very long cases, 4, 5, 6 hours at a time. Are you going to get CO2 toxicity from them? No. If you're a normal human being, are you going to get some sort of a respiratory ailment that will kill you from this? No. There are exceptions to every rule, but they are just that. They are exceptions. Now, these are designed to be washed. If you're going to wear these for a half a day or, a stint in the shop for a while, they're designed to be washed. Because if you don't wash them, then you can build up some sort of a bacterial load in there. Then you could get something colonizing in there, and then that's not good for you, because now every breath you take in is going through that colony, and well, that's not good. So now something that on the Mrs. Rattlecan channel you've seen, this is an N95 mask. This is the mask that I wear when I am mixing up potting soil, because potting soil has a lot of particulate matter, some very fine peat particles, some very fine vermiculite particles, some very fine perlite particles, and none of that is particularly good for your lung meats. Now this is, again, this is listed as an N95. It's supposed to fit tightly around your mouth hole. Like this. Again, we have a little piece of metal, so I can pinch this to my, that really hurts because I broke my nose a couple of weeks ago. If you pinch this, it will conform around the top. This fits tighter than either one of these. This is supposed to seal more tighter, English are good, around your mouth hole. If you have a beard, it will be less efficient, or more efficient, less efficient, because you're going to get some air, some bypass come through your beard. Now, I personally think as my beard is a secondary air filter, so, we're all big boys and girls here. You can make up whatever mythos you want to. Now, this is the first appearance of this, what I call a pop-off valve or a breather valve. When I breathe in, air gets filtered through this filter media. It goes through my lung meats, gas exchange occurs, and when I breathe out, there's a little valve in here that opens, and then that hot air gets bypassed and comes out. In this instance, it's vented in a downwards direction. That helps to keep condensation from building up on the inside. It helps to keep it a little bit cooler. If I'm attempting to protect myself from something in the environment, that's okay. I breathe in, that valve closes, air is filtered through here. I breathe out, the pop-off valve activates, and the air comes out. That's all right if I'm trying to protect myself from something in the environment, particulate matter most notably. The N95 that you hear everyone talking about is the efficiency and the size with which it can filter material. And if you're talking about possible biocontamination of your lung meats, an N95 to protect yourself when properly fitted is pretty darn effective. Now we're going to get into a little more shop-worthy type of masks. This is an Eclipse. There are a number of companies that I've seen their names on the straps on this, and this is great for when I'm doing stuff that generates dust. I'm working on the sander. I got a handheld sander. I got a handheld grinder. It works great. It has these little filters, these little paper filters. You can see how it's kind of wood colored on this side, and on the inside it's nice and clean. That's because it's been filtering. These are disposable. They're easily replaceable. Check with your manufacturer, because not all filters protect against all things. You're not doing yourself a favor if you are spraying nitrocellulose lacquer and your mask is designed to filter out particulate matter. You're not really protecting yourself. This also has that little pop-off valve. The added benefit of this is I can wash this. I can clean the inside of this out. I can clean off the inside of that pop-off valve. I suggest you do that regularly, because there are all kinds of nooks and crannies in here where it can take that warm, moist air that you are exhaling, and like on the back side of this fold in here, the underside of that, it's a great place to grow bacteria. So make sure that you wash these out. Again, we got a pop-off valve here. When we breathe in, air is filtered. Gas exchange in the lung meets. Exhale, valve opens. Hot air, condensation, moisture, all comes out. This one is a little lighter. This is actually when I'm doing, if I'm doing grinding on metal, this is kind of my go-to. This is, who makes this? This is an RZ mask. Of course, it's got the Flying Tigers paint scheme on it. And this has an activated charcoal filter on the inside, and this has two pop-off valves on here. We have a Velcro closure in the back, so if it's a little loose, you can just tighten the Velcro up so you can get a better fit. It goes underneath your ears. You don't have a big gaping hole here. You have a wire up top that you can adjust for the bridge of your nose. And again, when we breathe in, we have all this filter media working, filters out particulate matter very well. Gas exchange occurs in the lung meets. Exhale, pop-off valves open, discharging warm, moist air down below us. They come in a variety of colors, paint schemes. Now we're kind of coming up to the big guns. If you are trying to protect yourself from solvents, sprays, that type of stuff, this is what I wear. And these cartridges are replaceable, and you can get them for different purposes. You can get them for just general particulate matter use. You can get them for solvent use, all kinds of different reasons and different specific filter media that you can get for your different needs. Make sure you're using the right tool for the right job. Same kind of thing applies. When I take a breath in, air comes through this filtering media, lung meets, gas exchange, exhale, pop-off valve, warm air, condensation, blow out. You can wash the inside of these. These are rated for a certain number of hours of exposure. There are certain ways in which you need to store them. Pay particular attention to those, please. So those are masks that we would possibly use in the shop or in a work environment, or at least for the home gamer, to protect yourself. Now, There's a lot of talk out there right now about wearing masks. I think some people are getting confabulated about why you're wearing that mask. As when you talk about viruses, airborne viruses, these masks don't work particularly well for protecting you from viruses. Now the N95 more so than others, but again, it has to be properly fitted, and you can't wear this all day, every day, weeks on end and have that efficiency stay there, because it does trap particulate matter. In fact, I'm almost embarrassed to show you this. Yeah, and that's just the stuff that's coming in from my leaking, the air leaks on the side. In order for it to really work, the air has to come through here and get filtered through the media, not through here. So when we're talking about wearing masks in a situation that we find ourselves in July of 2020, what is the purpose of wearing a mask? There's something out there called viral load. And all that means is an amount of a virus in an environment in which you are in. And the purpose of wearing a mask in an environment like that is to decrease the viral load in a room that you are in. Does that protect you if you have the virus? No. Can that protect others? It can. A couple of different reasons. Number one, it decreases the amount, the viral load that will go out into the environment. And if you are infected and you are wearing a mask like this, and you happen to sneeze or cough, which are fantastic ways for a virus to travel across a room, because a virus doesn't have wings, it doesn't have legs, it doesn't have flagellum, it doesn't have any mode of transportation. It has to hitch a ride on something, and usually what it hitches a ride on is some sort of secretion from you. Spit, snot, objects of quick expellation. I may have just made that word up. So if I'm wearing even a mask like this and I cough, then I'm going to contain a lot of these pieces of virus, which is hitched a ride on something, in this mask. And it's not going to go across the room to my coworker and potentially infect them. And that's the purpose of the masks during a pandemic situation. It's for others. It's to help decrease the spread from one person to another. It's not necessarily designed to protect you from getting that virus from the air. It will help somewhat. Mainly, it's designed to protect other people and to slow the spread. That's what it's about. And if that's the case, then what happens if you have a pop-off valve? If I'm wearing this is an N95 mask. Let's say it's a brand new, pristine condition N95 mask. I have it correctly fitted around my mouth hole. And when I breathe in, it is nicely and efficiently filtering the air that I breathe in. And then if I sneeze, this has a pop-off valve. Where does all of that particulate matter now go? It shoots out of this pop-off valve. Now, if you're in a shop and you're protecting yourself from particulate matter and you're worried about comfort, a pop-off valve, not a bad thing. If you are trying to protect someone else from your projectile hitchhikers, is a pop-off valve a good idea? No, because it defeats the whole purpose of the mask. If I sneeze, if I'm infected and I sneeze with a mask on with a pop-off valve, I'm not containing a whole lot of that matter, am I? Because it shoots right out of the pop-off valve. Because it shoots right out of the pop-off valve. Shoots right off of two pop-off valves. shoots right out of a pop-off valve. Do you kind of see where I'm going here? Now, I am not telling you what to do, because we're all big boys and girls here. Some of us need to kind of grow into our big boy and girl roles, but that's another video for another time. If you are opposed to wearing a mask because it's not going to protect you, you probably have a valid argument. If you are not wearing a mask because they're uncomfortable, I get it. But you know what? You can do it. There are very few people, a very small segment of the population, that for a medical reason or some sort of a phobia or some sort of a mental health condition just flat out can't wear a mask. And I get that. If you have tested positive for this particular virus, the mask doesn't protect you because you've already built up an immunity. But can you carry it? That's a good question. And if you can carry it and you're wearing a mask with a pop-off valve, what good are you doing? It's a good question. So if we're wearing these masks in the shop, on the work site, to protect ourselves from particulate matter, which you should be doing, by the way, because if you've ever had to carve off the bottom half or the bottom third or a complete lung because of the buildup of wood fibers, because you've worked in a carpentry shop for 40 years and never wore a mask, that's no fun. Laying in a bed, gasping for breath because you cannot get the exchange of gases in your lung meats because they're filled up with secretions that have covered wood fiber. It's a horrible way to die. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. So if you're trying to protect yourself from elements in the environment, especially particulate matters, masks are a great idea, and I highly encourage them. Wearing a mask to protect yourself from a virus, that's a much tougher call. Wearing a mask to protect others from a virus that you may have, that's kind of considerate, isn't it? Because I would hate to go somewhere and because of something that I was carrying that I didn't even know that I was carrying, if I infected one of my loved ones and they got off in a bad way, I'd feel pretty bad about that. And it's not just the mortality rate that you're having to deal with. It's the long-lasting effects from surviving this because of the multifaceted systems that this can infect. It's not just respiratory. With respiratory, there's GI. You can lose your sense of smell. Who wouldn't want to smell bacon in the morning? How bad would that suck? You have circulatory problems where you can lose limbs. I like my legs. I like these because these allow me to do the fun things that I do on all three of these channels. So again, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just trying to get you a little information so that you can make an informed choice. The masks that you wear, are you wearing them to protect yourself? That affects which mask you wear. Are you wearing them to protect others? That determines what mask you would wear. Be smart, be nice to one another, try not to be a dick about the whole thing, and if I can do it, you can do it. Cheers. I hope you found this episode educational or entertaining, or maybe even both. You might want to check this one out as well. Be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell to be notified when new videos drop, and if you've got comments, make sure you put them down beneath the sermon notes. Thanks for hanging out with us here at the RATTLECAN Fab Shop. Y'all have a good one. Cheers.